I've had a few chats with other moms, one that has to pay up to close to $50,000 back. And like I said, it's not like it's a tiny little bit of money that you could just say, here you go. Thanks for my top up that I have to pay back. It's going to put families to the point of bankruptcy. What do? Do we remortgage our house to be able to pay this back? Do we declare bankruptcy? Do we sell all of our stuff? Do we, and as you know, we have a toddler and a newborn at home that it's disgusting. There's no other word for it.
This is pure evil. That's what I call it.
Medical tyranny and coercion has reached an inconceivable level in British Columbia. And today I have a petition for you to take action against it. I couldn't believe my ears when I first heard this story, and I have an interview with one of the moms being affected by this outrageous thing. Mothers, new mothers, breastfeeding mothers in British Columbia are being told if they do not receive the COVID-19 vaccine, not only will they lose their job when it's time to come back, they will be expected to pay back tens of thousands of dollars to return their maternity benefits they received, a top-up pay they received. This is BC public servants specifically. And get this, they went on leave when there was no mandates in place. What kind of evil is this? How can we stand for this in Canada? How is Premier John Horgan and Health Minister Adrian Dix and Public Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry allowing this to happen in a supposed free nation? Mothers, breastfeeding mothers who are not comfortable taking a novel medical intervention that has zero long-term studies for them and their child are being told that they will end up in bankruptcy because they've already spent that money on the cost to live while they were off work. This cannot happen. Please take action. Sign our petition at saveourmoms.ca and share it with as many people as possible. People need to see this to believe it. This petition is going to be handed off to Public Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry, Health Minister Adrian Dix, the Premier. It's going to go to the head of the BC Liberals, Kevin Falcon. It's going to go to our health critic, Shirley Bond, as well. Somebody needs to take a stand, and that starts with you and I. Feel free to send it to your MLA so they are aware that you are watching to see if they will stand against this. Again, that is saveourmoms.ca. I have an interview coming up right now with one of those moms who doesn't know what on earth they're going to have to do if she has to pay back this money. Again, saveourmoms.ca. Sign and share.
Michelle, thank you so much for being on here. I just, every now and then there's a story I just can't believe I'm reporting on, and this is one of them. So again, thank you for being on Rebel News.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, for the people who haven't heard anything about this, please explain what type of maternity benefit you had and what were the conditions. Did you get it before there were vaccine mandates at your workplace or not?
So when you work for the provincial government, you can accept a top-up when you are on maternity leave. So that means the federal government pays you your regular maternity benefits that you're entitled to, and then the government tops it up so it kind of makes it seem like you get the exact same amount as if you were working. So part of the condition for the top-up amount is you are required to go back to work after your 12 or 18-month maternity leave. And you have to work for, it's usually about like 6 months to kind of pay back that top-up amount. And I was totally ready to go. And then COVID happened. And in the middle of me being on maternity leave with my first daughter, vaccine mandates came down the pipe, and the provincial government, my employer, made it mandatory that I had to be vaccinated in order to return to work. And at the time I was breastfeeding my first daughter, and we were also expecting our second as well. So wow. I wasn't willing to put my own health and safety, as well as my unborn daughter's life and safety, and my newborn with getting the vaccine. So I I turned it down, unfortunately, and it cost me my job.
So hold on a second. I mean, Rebel News has done many reports about the the safe and effective vaccine, and we've shown that they definitely underestimated that phrase in many ways. So being a mother breastfeeding and expecting, it's understandable. But when these mandates came out, you must have had an understanding that potentially you might lose your job. But tell us what happened when you realized, whoa, it's more than that. Not only might I lose the career that I worked so hard at, I might have to pay back, how much money is it?
It's 21,000 and some change. So pretty close to $22,000 from being on maternity leave for 12 months.
Wow. So what was going through your mind? Like, how did you find that out? What were you and your family members saying?
Well, first thing was, oh my God, how can I be expected to pay this much amount when, I'm not working, being on leave without pay, and ultimately I was terminated. So how am I expected to pay that amount, as well as, being young new parents for my husband and I, we have mortgages, we got bills to pay, right?
Yeah.
So essentially with me being on maternity leave and terminated, I don't have any income coming in really, other than my maternity. So it's, how do you pay for this large amount of money? It's not $20 that, you kind of have in your wallet. It's close to $22,000. And I don't know about anyone else. I don't have it in a jar buried in my backyard for a rainy day.
No, that money wasn't for savings. It was for you to live while you weren't making what you would normally make. So you've spent the money, and now you live in a province that is not only saying you can't come back to work unless you do your part and get jabbed, you have to pay back $20,000. Now, I've spoken to more than just you who's facing this situation, and I know there are people who they owe more money than $20,000. It's absurd. Can you give us a feel for how many mothers in your situation in British Columbia, I guess, in your same line of work, are facing this?
Well, we have kind of a group together that we have are pregnant and expecting, and, a mom group. And in that group, there's about 30 to 35 of us. Some of us are terminated. I believe I'm the first one that has gotten terminated and served with a payback amount that I have to pay. Everyone else, I believe, is either still on maternity leave. They're waiting for exemptions to come out. But I've had a few chats with other moms, one that has to pay up to close to $50,000 back. And like I said, it's not like it's a tiny little bit of money that you could just say, here you go, thanks for my top up that I have to pay back. It's going to put families to the point of bankruptcy, of having liens on their home and on their stuff to pay this money back. And I'm myself included. My husband and I have had the conversation of, what do we do? Do we remortgage our house to be able to pay this back? Do we declare bankruptcy? Do we sell all of our stuff? Do we, and as we have a toddler and a newborn at home, that it's disgusting. There's no other word for it.
This is pure evil. That's what I call it. Now, why do you think you have been terminated and the others haven't? Is it just the timing? What's your guess at that?
I'm thinking it could be the timing. It could be some of them have gotten their exemptions kind of accepted, or they're under review. But for the most part, it sounds like a lot of them are just the timing, because I went on maternity leave in November of 2020. So that was just when kind of vaccines were just starting to come down the pipe of being mandatory. And when I went on maternity, it was, there was no conversation of having like a requirement to be vaccinated, or you're terminated, or, if you're terminated, you can't pay, like you have to pay your top up amount. If at any point, that my employer would have said, hey, Michelle, we know it's part of your contract that, if you don't return to work because you're terminated or you resign, you have to pay your amount back. They never reached out. Otherwise, I would have been like, fine, cut off my top up amount. Exactly. I don't want it anymore. It could have stopped at paying $500 back instead of $22,000. But there was No communication at all.
Now, I know you guys have a union. Before we talk about what's going on, legal wise, what has your union done for you in this crazy situation?
Absolutely nothing. The union has been completely in support of the employer. I have filed grievances for my leave without pay letter I received, for my termination letter, as well as this top-up amount that I have to pay back. And all they do is, if it goes to arbitration, it's just going to get turned down. So do you really want to go through the process of it, or do you want to withdraw? No, I'm not going down, not kicking and screaming. We're gonna proceed. And then even with this top-up amount, I had a conversation with another mom. They intimidate you. They even say, if you lose this in arbitration, you will get served with a court order to pay this amount back in one lump sum. And if you don't, they put liens on your house. They do, they almost threaten, I guess, in a sense, but they do a very good job intimidating you to the point where even myself, I almost debated, oh man, well, maybe I should just withdraw it and just do these payments. But I'm like, no, it's not the point. They don't get away with that. So
now, what are these medical exemptions? You probably can't answer all of that. It's private information. But is this the same medical exemptions that Dr. Bonnie Henry had, just a short, rigid, I think it was 5 or so things that you had to have in order to be exempt? Or is there some sort of special exemption that's happening for you guys given your situation?
Yes and no. You can apply for like a religious exemption if you can, or, a medical exemption, but we all know no doctor's going to sign for a medical exemption because their license might be at risk for doing that. Religious exemptions, it's almost hit and miss if anyone will contact you back, which is what happened to me. I tried both avenues and was unsuccessful in even having a conversation with someone to get an exemption.
So what is your employer saying about everything that's happening to you right now?
Well, our employer is, going to be trying to get their money back. So when I received my letter to repay back my $21,657.59, there was a certain date that I had to contact our payroll accounting program or section to create a payment plan to pay back this amount. Now, I really don't want to have to pay this back. So of course I didn't contact them to make a payment plan. I went through the grievance process because I don't agree with this amount. And because I had missed that deadline of making a payment plan, my employer is taking me to labor relations to start a grievance process to get that money from me. Now, from my understanding, that means that they will be taking me to court at one point in time to give me a court order to pay that amount.
Wow. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I hope it just, all of these interviews and you guys just kind of, embarrass the provincial government enough that they'll go away with their tails between their legs and just say, you know what, don't worry about it. We're in the wrong.
As a mom, I am absolutely appalled, and I hope you are as well. And you're taking a stand by signing and sharing our petition at saveourmoms.ca. Also appalled are our charity partners at the Democracy Fund. These mothers are public servants. They have to go through their union first to try to take legal action, but we are keeping a close eye to see if they'll need help after that. So stay tuned for upcoming reports and updates on this. But for now, stand with us by signing and sharing the petition at saveourmoms.ca.